All right, so good morning, everyone. It's just a little bit past 10, so I want to be respectful of your time and our presenters' time today. Welcome to Interview Bootcamp, hosted by Tailored for Success and presented by Actalent Services. My name is Liz Hart, and I'm the founder and executive director of Tailored for Success. I am excited to be here with you today and to have this great partnership with Actalent Services. And before we begin, I just want to make sure that if you could just put in the chat where you're joining us from. I'm always interested in knowing where people are calling in from. Just as a reminder, this workshop is the first in a series of 3 workshops on interviewing that will be held throughout the month of September. This first workshop will introduce you to how recruiters can help in your job search by highlighting your strengths, your goals, and your interests. You'll learn how recruiters act as your cover letter by representing you to the client directly and telling your story on their behalf. Information about the other 2 sessions can be found on the Tailored for Success website, which I have put in the chat. If this is your first Tailored for Success workshop, I'd like to give you just a little bit of information about what we do and encourage you to check out our workshop to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, because we do hold monthly workshops, and you can join our community. So Tailored for Success has been working with job seekers for over 20 years, and our programs and services center around these 3 interconnected programs: the Reimagine Your Career program, which this interview bootcamp is a part of, our Career Closet for Women and Men, and our Boots to Suits Veterans Transition program. All our services and programs are free. And if you're a podcast fan, I also host a podcast called Pivot Point: Success is a Journey, and I'll put the link also in the chat. And on this podcast, I talk to people about how they've made major pivots in their lives and careers to find success. So our agenda today will be run by my colleagues at Actalent Services, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. But again, I do want to thank them for their partnership. The 2 recruiters that I have been working with, Natalie and Lindsee, are on also. So I want to thank them, and they can feel free to introduce themselves. But I just want to make sure that you know that these individuals have many years of experience in this field. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or we can save time at the end, or you can also use your reactions to raise your hand. But before we go on and I turn this over to them, I want to remind you that today's workshop is being recorded, and a recording of all the 3 sessions and the slides will be distributed at the end of the series. So I'm going to turn it over to Emily and Ellie.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Liz, for having us. We are so excited to be here, and we put together a little presentation just to walk through everything that you kind of just detailed out there. So I will share my screen and we can get started. Awesome. Perfect. So before we can introduce ourselves, before we kind of get into our company and what we do, but just to start us off, I'll kick it off. I'm Natalie. It's nice to meet you. I am a scientific recruiter here with Actalent. I've been with the company for just about 2 years, and it's been an incredible journey, just getting to know many people across the country and just helping them find that long-term career with what they're searching for. And my hometown is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but I do live in the Boston area. So I'll turn it over to Lindsee to introduce herself.
Thanks, Natalie. Hi, everyone. My name's Lindsee. Thank you again, Liz, for having us be involved with these boot camps. We're really excited. I've been with Actalent pushing 5 years now. I am a scientific account recruiting manager. So I work with a lot of the client side of our business while also working with candidates with helping basically like connect the dots for what you're looking for and the companies that we work with. I'm originally from East Providence, Rhode Island. I also live in the Boston area now. I'm just really excited to share our insights and, see, how we can be resources for all of you in your search and, hopefully answer any questions that you may have, throughout this process. But with that, I will kick it over to Ellie.
Hi, everybody. Very nice to meet you all. I'm an engineering recruiter. I support the whole New England area, kind of mainly working with mechanical engineers, electrical, manufacturing, and as well as technicians. I'm originally from Nanuet, New York, and I moved out to the Boston area. I live in Southern New Hampshire for this role. I've been working here a little over a year, loving it so far, and really excited to speak with you all today.
Awesome. And just as a excuse me, I don't know if it's the allergies or what's going on with my voice, but sorry about that. I'm just going to go back just to give you an overview of what our company is and what we do, just so you have like that background. And then I'll kick it over to Ellie to kind of start us off by getting to know you guys a little bit more personally. But our company is at a whole a talent solutions company. We focus specifically in the sciences and engineering spaces. But our like main goal is really to just get to know the people, like what do they want to do, what are their passions, and just really build a relationship with you. And that way we can, find the role that you're looking for with our clients. But our really at the heart of it is just finding good people, helping them with their job search, more specifically in the engineering and sciences. However, we do have a couple of different operating companies that are our sister companies. So we have one that's called Aston Carter that is focused more in professional services, admin work, customer service opportunities as well. And then also another company called Aerotech, which focuses primarily in like construction and assembly work and manufacturing. So just overall, like Lindsay, I think had mentioned, we can just be resources for kind of whatever you're looking for, a very broad range, and just providing any insight or advice there. Perfect. So we'll get started with Ellie, just kind of getting to know you and the job search. Then we'll kind of go through the job application process with Lindsay, and I'll close it out with just how we can help and be a resource for you. And then of course, we can go through any questions. So if you want to jot those down throughout the call, or if you want to put them in the chat, we can always do that as well.
Perfect. So firstly, we just want to kind of get to know you guys a little bit better, understand where your skills are and where your work history is and what you're looking to do really. And then the main thing that you're looking to get out of this, just because we're here to provide value and help you guys understand what we could offer you guys right now in your job search, and to help you guys gain some skills for the future as well. And the best way to do this for us is to just know what you guys need to get out of this. So if everybody could go around and just introduce themselves, let us know who you are, where your experience is, and then what you are looking to get out of this. This kind of mirrors the initial call that we have with most of our candidates, just understanding what their skills are. So what those core skills they have to offer in a new job, and then what their career goals are as well, and then what they're doing for work currently, and maybe why they're looking for something new. So this is just to kind of mirror that. If everybody could just go around, unmute yourselves, and we could go through. I don't know if Janet or maybe Kayla, you guys one of you want to kick us off?
I think people will be a little shy because we're recording, so that's fine. I mean, we can always put, you can always put your information in the chat if you don't feel like speaking on the recording. I can certainly understand that if you're having, Kayla's having microphone issues, so she's unable to do that.
Well, this is Janet, and I'm not shy, but I wasn't prepared to do this, but I was putting something in the chat. Because well, maybe I can ask you a question first, if you don't mind. Your company deals in engineering, biotech, and science, but it would seem to me that your job being a recruiter requires communication skills. So because my strong point is communication skills, not science, and unfortunately not computer skills. So I'm curious how, because I'm trying to figure out what is the right spot for me, because I've been on a lot of boards. I've helped run some restaurants, and I've done a lot of fundraising, but basically as a partner with my spouse or working with somebody that I know. So I haven't really gotten paid. Any of the jobs I've gotten paid for are pretty low grade. Anything that I've done that's of interest, most that I consider would be of interest to people, I didn't get paid for. So I'm trying to figure out if I could do, a lot of people that I've spoken to said, oh, well, you could do recruiting, or you could do admissions work, or that I need to do something requiring people skills. So A, I'm curious what you think about that, and B, I'm really curious what your backgrounds are.
Yeah, of course. So just to answer that, at the end of the day, we're recruiters. None of us got, I didn't get an engineering degree. Nobody got like a biology, chemistry degree. The great thing about recruiting is a lot of us come from different backgrounds. I myself come from a public relations and communication studies background. And it's definitely those core soft skills that helped myself and many of us and many of the other recruiters I work with who have found success in this role. We don't have that experience as engineers. It's more so having those strong communication skills and understanding the main aspects of the skill sets that we work with. And then when it comes to answering your question of like trying to understand where you could kind of go with the skills you have, sometimes if you look at it from more of the angle of us being a career advisor, we're able to help you understand where those skills are going to fit in. If we have those conversations with you, understand, what you've done in the past, what you enjoyed about those previous roles, and what you would kind of say are the main skills you're looking to do and the main responsibilities in a role you'd love to see and do every day, that ideal day to day for you, we would be able to match that up with our clients and with opportunities that we're currently supporting. And see what's going to work best for you. And we're able to work with you, kind of go over those things because we work directly with those hiring managers to know what they're looking for and know what the day-to-day would look like. So we would kind of walk through that with you and help you and see if something's a good fit before we, move you along in the process, if that answers your question right now.
Okay, and Ellie, I'm not sure if you saw in the chat, but Kayla, her industry is Kayla Firestack. Her industry is software engineering, and she's looking to get information in general about interviewing and maybe salary negotiation if it's in the scope.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for that participation in the chat. Really great to see that you have that software engineering background. And then as well as the interviewing general information for that, we're definitely going to go over that in this presentation as well. And then the salary negotiation is definitely something that we support within the process. And we could speak about that during the presentation as well.
I just wanted to interject too, because as Liz said when we started that, this is a 3-part series. So you'll get a little bit of what to do like in an interview, maybe more in session 2 and session 3. We'll go like very in depth into that, Kayla. So definitely would suggest joining those 2 sessions. They're the next 2 Wednesdays, same time, 10 to 11, but just wanted to highlight that as well. But thank you both for sharing. We can move forward here. I don't know if James, we can kind of get into your background as we go here. But Ellie, I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, of course. This is, again, just more questions, just so we could get to know you guys a little bit better, understand where we could help you guys out in your process right now. Feel free to participate. You guys could write in the chat if you want, or you could unmute yourself and speak out as well. But this is just for us to understand where the baseline is and where we need to go, what kind of overview we need to be giving in this first presentation and the rest of the presentations, as Natalie mentioned. So how are you guys applying to jobs, right now or in the past maybe?
Where's the chat thing? Oh,
You're already unmuted, Janet.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, of
I-
course.
Oh, well, as long as I'm unmuted, I didn't mean to do that, but, well, one of the things that's happened is when you apply for a job, even on, a company's website, it seems like people get your information. And then then I start getting like millions and millions of, emails from companies I don't know anything about. And, one thing that I did was I started to apply through the, I guess, the portal, I don't know what you call it, that they sent to me. And then I thought, I don't think I want to do that. What I want to do is go to the company that they mentioned, go to their website, make sure they're actually offering that job, and then look up the information and apply that way. So that's what I've been doing recently, although yesterday I did get something from LinkedIn. I didn't have a chance to see, like it said, oh, there's, 10 jobs that you should look at. And, but I haven't had a chance to do that.
Right, and I will read what Kayla has to say in the chat. She has been applying to jobs through LinkedIn, Twitter, and occasionally looking through career sections of companies that she's interested in.
Okay, perfect. We have some other questions as well, and you guys could kind of answer these freely, because I think we're kind of going into a few different areas with the one or two prompts so far. So you guys could just kind of answer speak out about these freely, and thank you so much, Kayla, for the participation in the chat. Definitely seems like you guys are applying directly on the company's portals as well as using some bigger platforms like LinkedIn or Indeed. Kayla, I've never went into Twitter for applying for jobs, but definitely really interesting to see that as well. Are there any other obstacles, maybe Kayla, that you're seeing, or any other obstacles from the other participants?
Yeah, and just to add there too, I think Janet, you brought up, probably one of the biggest hurdles, right, is if you do apply to some of these, portals, or even some of the, through Indeed or LinkedIn, right? Like, yeah, you probably are going to get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and it's trying to navigate through that. And I think that's where, we can really come in and be a resource too, because, we use the same portals as far as, LinkedIn, Indeed, going to the company websites, just with our partnerships with the organizations, they kind of let us know, hey, here are the jobs we have. So I could definitely see that being, one of the bigger obstacles, that would come up, right? So applying and then maybe getting bombarded, or even potentially not even like hearing back, right, from an HR partner or from your application.
Yeah, great point there, Linz. I think let's just move into honestly what you were going to discuss, because I think that'll be helpful. Talking about like the job application process, Lindsay. I didn't realize there was another question, but I guess we can also go into this a little bit. If any of you have worked with a recruiter before, or had any thoughts like about working with recruiters, or just anything you wanted to mention there. All good. We'll move through here. I'll kick it over to you, Linz.
Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so obviously, like we said, this session's really what we want to talk about is the job application process, right? And Janet, for tailoring your resume to each job, we're going to get into that as well. So I'm glad you brought that up, and using a cover letter and things like that, and like potential issues that may arise with trying to, make sure that what you're putting on your resume and what you're highlighting in the cover letter matches the job description, right? So I think first things first, the biggest, area to really focus in on first is how to conduct a search. So I'm glad that, some of the initial, comments that you guys were saying was, looking on LinkedIn, looking potentially on different job portal sites,
I'm gonna be on microphone.
looking potentially on the company websites specifically. So I think, what first things first, right? How to conduct the search is looking for those keywords in the job description or typing in those keywords in your search. So when you're on LinkedIn, even obviously the example in the pictures, you could even use Google. Use Google to your advantage, right? If you type in the type of job that you're looking for an example, if you're looking for a lab technician job, right? Or if you're looking for maybe something that would be more administration, or even something that's more, software engineering, typing in those keywords as far as like the job title. And then obviously you want to put the location, right? And then once you do that, it'll bring you to an entire, list of companies, potential job postings that are posted, that then you can kind of look through and use those as getting into more tailoring your resume, making sure that you're matching the skills, making sure that you understand what the responsibilities are before you even apply, right? So that would be just my piece of advice. As you narrow down maybe the type of jobs you're looking for, using that keyword and the location in the search is really going to help with narrowing down the different companies you could work with. So Natalie, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide here. So once obviously you go through, you're doing the search, you're looking at the different job descriptions, I think, the next biggest piece is really understanding the job description, right? Reading through the responsibilities, looking at what the skills are, and then also looking at the qualifications. Now, oftentimes what I'll hear from individuals that we speak with is, hey, I found this job. I'm looking at the job description. My skills align really well, but it does say, 0 to 2 years of experience or 2+ years of experience. And maybe you're in a situation where maybe you recently graduated, or maybe you don't have, the full years of experience that they're looking for. And you almost get a little disheartened, right? When going to apply for that job, because you don't want to apply for something that you feel is out of reach. The one thing that I will say, just in regards to, years of experience and education and things like that, what we have seen working with our different clients is oftentimes those years of experience, it is flexible, right? So if you see something and you're like, well, I could potentially have, 3 years of experience, but it'd be kind of hard to explain. That's okay. As long as you have experience with, those skills that they're looking for, those core responsibilities of what the day-to-day looks like, we always encourage people to apply anyway, right? And I think as we get into more of the, building out your resume, the cover letter aspect, that's where you can really highlight, I do have this amount of total years of experience, but really even honing in more on, as far as these specific responsibilities and skills, here's where I have that, right? One other piece just to dive into when looking at a job description as well is you almost want to use the job description as almost like a cheat sheet, right? So as you're looking at some of those, again, the responsibilities in this example, obviously this is for a manufacturing technician role. This one's a little bit more science specific, but one of the lines does read, experience with cell culture, right? So if you have that experience and you see that specific line, when you go to your resume, that's going to be one of the skills you want to highlight at the top, right? So put a bullet, cell culture, right? Because it matches with what the job description says. Or if you have experience with, say, Microsoft Office or Microsoft Excel, right? Those are the things where you want to use this job description as almost a guide for highlighting, on your resume and in your cover letter, what experience you do have that aligns well. So this way, when a hiring manager is looking at this resume, looking at your application, they can very clearly see, okay, they hit this bullet point here, this bullet point here, this bullet point here. Awesome. So again, this is almost like a two-part, portion, right? So as far as the tailoring your resume or matching your resume to each job or to the job description, again, I think one of the most important things and a tool that everybody could utilize that would really help is using that summary of qualifications, or oftentimes, if, as you can see in this example, at the very top, it's called an objective, right? So like what type of job or what type of role you're trying to get into. So again, if you're looking at a potential like admissions type role, right? In that objective, that might be where you say, looking to get my foot in the door in this specific, field, utilizing XYZ skills that I have, right? I think that's a really, really important piece. And also just using like that objective or even summary to quickly summarize some of the different jobs that you have listed on your resume and like the top skill sets that you have. At the end of the day, nobody really knows your experience or your skills quite like you do, right? So I think the key there is really being extremely confident in what you can bring to the table and trying to highlight that right at the top of your resume, because that's going to be the very first thing that they see as far as hiring managers, potential like HR partners as you're sending in applications. As far as skills, of course, you always want to have a skills section that really just similar to this example, bullet point list of the different skills that you have. Now, what I would suggest is oftentimes what we'll see is some of those more like interpersonal skills, right? Like good team player, strong communicator, works well under pressure, things like that. Those types of specific skills, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily put on your resume because that could be an area that you would be able to highlight in a cover letter, right? If you were to use a cover letter. The cover letter is really where you want to sell more than the technical side, but really sell like you as an individual, right? Like, hey, I'm a really strong communicator. I work well under pressure. I've worked really well in teams. I work well independently. So for the skill section on your resume, that's where you want to have more of those technical skills, right? So again, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word. If it's in, software engineering, any potential like coding that you've done, right? Any of those specific techniques or skills that even that you see listed on the resume that you have experience with, that's where you're going to want to list those. And then for the experience part, you can, like this resume has, there is a brief little like snapshot, right, of like specific experience that maybe overall that, this individual has. So for this example, this person had a lot of research experience. So they highlighted maybe some of the top research projects that they did. So for an experience like, or relevant experience section, you can highlight some key projects that you've worked on, right? And you can get specific there with, if there are metrics, like say, for example, you ran or you organized a 5K, right? So maybe in that you might want to say like organized a 5K for 100 people, set up, contracts with vendors, set up the course, made sure that there is like food and hydration, going into the specific details there. And then once you do all of that at the top of your resume, then of course for the experience throughout the resume, that's where that's all going to vary depending on your experience. You're going to want to put whatever specific jobs that you've had, what your job title was, and then a few bullet points just of what you did, right? So again, if that was the example, you might say the company was called ABC Running, right? So you put ABC Running, maybe it was event coordinator was your title, and then you would put, negotiate contracts with vendors, set up the course, organized, check-in, made sure that we utilized our computer system for tracking participants, things like that, right? I think the biggest thing too about experience that sometimes is it comes and goes or questions will come up is it should almost be like a chronological order from your most recent position to the position that you maybe had first, right? So you always want to start at that most recent and then work backwards down the line. And then again, always saying what the company was, what your job title was, and then a couple of bullet points just highlighting, what you did. And that kind of brings me back to, once you are looking at the job description, you kind of matched your summary qualifications, your objective, your skills, your experience to what this job is looking for. That's where, again, those interpersonal skills, the soft skills that you have and what you really feel makes you a better candidate versus another person interviewing, that's where you'll want to utilize that cover letter. So again, for this, there's different ways to go about cover letters. Some people have them more generalized, but again, if you wanted to use the job description to your advantage, that's where you would, again, want to, hone in on those skills and qualifications from the description. Say, I'm very interested in X position with your company. This is the experience that I have, but also wanting to tie in that those interpersonal skills, right? I'm a team player. I have success working in this type of atmosphere. I'm a strong communicator, great listener. That's where you really want to hone in on those experiences specifically, because that's just going to help, bring to light and almost, construct the story for what's on your resume, versus like the hiring manager, basically creating a story in their head. Just looking at your resume, the cover letter helps narrate, your experience, your background, and what you're looking to gain and what you're looking to bring into this next position.
Awesome. Great point there, Linz. And just one thing to add, I think you did a great job of really like honing in on like being specific. I can't tell you enough time. There's been so many times I've seen, especially in the objective piece, someone saying, seeking an opportunity in lab technician, right? But then they're applying for an administrative role. And it's like, okay, just making sure that each role you're applying to, I know it's an extra step, but it's such an extra, like an important extra step to really make sure that you're being intentional with your applications when you're submitting your resume and cover letters. So great there. I guess anything else to add, Ellie, Lindsay? Good. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to touch on a little bit about how recruiters can help you. So finding a job, I love saying this, but it is a full-time job, and that's why we have jobs, because it is really hard. I mean, like we've all been in those shoes. You're applying to maybe 20 jobs a day or more. You're not hearing back. It's frustrating. You're just like, what is going on? Things like that. So our goal is really to make this process as seamless as possible for you and as easy as possible for you. So just to talk a little bit more about like what our process looks like, especially. So we act as your cover letter, right? We take the time to really get to learn who you are, not only just like your skills and maybe your career goals, but just as a person. Because when we're talking to these hiring managers, that's part of our process, saying like, hey, Janet, she's really funny. Like she's got, she tells a lot of good jokes, like just really like making you more than just a resume, right? So that's kind of our initial call, right? We're figuring out your goals, your skills, your interests, but your personality too. And then we kind of take the time to really, okay, what opportunities do we have right now that could be the best fit? And even if we don't, hey, maybe what are some companies that you'd be interested in? Maybe can we proactively, send your resume to those companies and see if we can generate some opportunities, get your name in front of the right hiring managers, right? Because at the end of the day, we have partnerships with over, just in the greater Boston area alone, like 200 different companies across engineering and sciences. And that doesn't even compare to what Aston Carter's partnerships are and what Aerotech's partnerships are. So we definitely can just get your name in front of the right people, and kind of streamline that process. Throughout that, it goes a little bit beyond. So right after we've gotten to get to know you, right? We've now gone through job opportunities. You're saying, hey, I really want to do this job. I'm really interested in this. We're like, okay, skills line up. Let's go through logistics. We make sure that on the front end, what do you need financially? Does this commute make sense, right? Things like that. And then after that, when we submit over your resume, that's where all those important conversations come in, because then we have the conversation with the client, really just putting your name out in the best light, highlighting every skill that Lindsay was talking about within that job description of, this person has cell culture experience. You're looking for a person with cell culture experience, right? Making sure we make those connections. Our goal obviously is to help set up that interview, and that's not where we stop. So once we get the interview set up, we're making sure that you are best prepared to go into that interview. That means sitting down with you, going through preparation questions, behavioral type of questions, how to answer certain questions, how to show up well, things like that. Just really making sure that you feel the most confident going into that talk. The next step would be obviously going in for the interview. And then after that, debriefing it. I've hopped on the call with some people and they're like, you know what, it just wasn't for me. And that's okay. You put yourself out there, you had the conversation with the company, and then we kind of use that to then, okay, what's the next step? What did we not like about this? And, going forward with the best opportunity next. And then hopefully it did go well, right? So when we are debriefing and you're saying, I love this company, I want to work here, and the company's feeling the exact same way, when they're offering that salary, that package, that offer letter, essentially helping you kind of figure out negotiations, walking through it together, again, just making sure that this is the best opportunity and decision for you. So I know that Kayla, you had mentioned a little bit of like salary negotiation help. Like definitely that is something that we can provide and just give you an idea of also like the current market, right? Like we are out here every day talking to candidates, talking to companies, like we have market value trends, like looking at all this so we can really give you the best idea of what to expect right now. So anything else, I guess, to add, Lindsay or Ellie, that I may have missed in that?
No, I think you did a great job. I think the only thing I would add too is if you do speak with a recruiter, right, or when you're talking to recruiters, being as open and transparent as you possibly can. If you have other opportunities that you're interviewing for, that's amazing. The goal here at the end of the day is for you to get a job, whether that's us helping you get a job or whether you get the job on your own, but being transparent, because oftentimes what we see is some individuals will have multiple interviews lined up and they're afraid to even say that because they're like, well, I don't want to say that because maybe like a stereotype sometimes that comes up. It's like, well, if I say that I'm interviewing, like, why are they going to then help send me to try and line up other interviews, right? And that's a stereotype that we really nip in the butt. Our goal is to get you as many interviews as we can, because at the end of the day, the goal is for you to hopefully have 3, 4, 5 offers. And then we're here to act as like a resource and a mentor to help you make the best decision for yourself moving forward, right? So the more open and transparent you can be, the more you can be upfront about what you're targeting salary-wise, so that when it comes to the offer, right, if we do have to negotiate, at least we know, okay, this is what, for example, Kayla is looking for, right? We know that. We communicate that with the client and with the managers right from the beginning to let them know, hey, these are her expectations. So when the offer comes, if it is below that, we can connect, with the candidate, make sure then we go back and say, hey, I know we discussed this up front. This is, what they're targeting. This was a little bit lower than, what they were targeting. And we can help you with those conversations, with the negotiation process, to get that offer to where you want to be or where you want it to be. So, again, when you do officially sign an offer letter and you accept a job, that you're feeling really confident going into it, like, wow, this person really had my back. They really helped me get the job I want, get the pay and benefits and everything that I want, so that you feel good going into it. And on the flip side, if, for example, you accept the job, right? You start, it's been a few months, and maybe it's a little bit different than what you anticipated. Maybe it's not a perfect fit. And oftentimes that will happen. We're here to continue helping. Once you get a job, that's not where our relationship ends, right? Like we will consistently check in. We want to be a resource, see how work is going, see how you're liking it. Because if for some reason it's not going well, or if, you're missing 1 or 2 aspects that you really want in a job, like we're here to then help you maybe find a better job, right? It's all about trial and error. I think a lot of times, getting a job, it's really exciting and you're all fired up. And you're like, this is going to be perfect. This is going to be my dream job. If it doesn't work out that way, we're here to help you find that dream job. And it's all about, finding what you love as much as like maybe what you don't like in a job. And that's, again, being open and transparent with the recruiter that you're working with. That's going to really help making sure that the next opportunity is the perfect fit for you, moving forward.
Yeah, hi, so it's Liz, and Lindsay, I think that's a really great point, and I just want to highlight this because I know that when I speak to individuals, they're always nervous about working with a recruiter, but I think if you look at it this way, I mean, it's great to have a partner in this, you know, as Natalie said, finding a job is a full-time job, and wouldn't it be great to have a partner with you, you know, helping you navigate all of the different companies and all of the different opportunities that are out there. It's very difficult to do it on your own. I know that when I was in the workforce myself, I always used a recruiter because of having that inside information. It's just one extra aspect of having a leg up on the competition by having a recruiter that is familiar with the company. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for adding that and your point of view in there as well. Honestly, we wanted to leave some time at the end just for questions. You know, we want to hear from you in terms of, you know, maybe any questions you had throughout what we were talking about, any questions you had just coming into this that were not answered. And then I also just put each of our emails up here. That way that you're able to contact us if you need some assistance, you want to talk, you want a partner here, right? So but I'll open it up for questions and we'll keep an eye on the chat as well in case anyone wants to put those in there.
Great, thanks so much, Natalie. And I actually did have one question. I often tell job seekers that when you're looking at a job description, that oftentimes the company, they put down what they wish they could have in the perfect employee. And so if you don't meet every single skill or experience level, should you still apply for the job? So I guess that's my question.
I would love to answer that question. This is definitely something we see a lot in the engineering side of things. Every time we log on to a call, because part of the process on the back end is we sit down with the hiring manager and the hiring team, being both the engineering side of the technical side of things, as well as, you know, HR sometimes, and just really dive into the role, understand why it's open, understand who they're working with, the interview process, what the job is going to look like, the day-to-day, maybe other candidates that they've interviewed and why those candidates didn't work out. And then also really just prioritizing what's a must-have, what's a nice to have, and what's just kind of like really not necessary, because job descriptions are very long, very intimidating sometimes. But when you really sit down and kind of talk through it, understand the details, the reasoning behind things, you really find that a lot of the times they're really just looking for like 3 to 5 skills, really. They're looking, the bare minimum is really, you know, they need to have this degree or this certification a lot of the times. And then they need to have like 1 or 2, 3, you know, 3 to 5 of these really core skills. And then anything after that is just supplemental. And working with us, we're able to see, you know, do you have those must-haves? If you don't, what are some of the nice-to-haves that you have to kind of compensate that? And we're able to vouch for all of your relevant experience when we share your information with the hiring team. Maybe you're not a perfect fit and you don't have those 3 top things that they're looking for. Maybe you only have 2, but you have a ton of the nice to haves that they'd love to see as well. And you have really strong experience in those 1 or 2 core things that they're looking for. We're able to kind of level things out and make it all fit. It's kind of like you're making mac and cheese and it calls for like 3 equal parts of these kinds of cheeses, but you don't have all those ones. But at the end of the day, the mac and cheese comes out fine. We're kind of working with the team to make that happen, as well as just branching off of that. And we did talk about this before. If you're not fully qualified, but you have a lot of the skills that's on the job description, still applying is really great because you're getting your information into whatever database that may be, either directly with the company or with an agency like Actalent. So you're applying, maybe you only have 2 years of experience and all those relevant skills, but they're looking for somebody who's junior or senior level. You're not going to be a good fit for that role just because they need a lot more experience under your belt. But we're able to help you out in the future. We're able to start that relationship, start building that. And in the future, we could help you out for a more junior role, or maybe the very next day, a client is calling us, letting us know that they're looking for that exact same skill set, but at entry level. And your information is already in front of us. We've already started building that relationship, and then we could get you out to that opportunity as it comes in, or maybe even proactively sharing your information with some clients in the area who have maybe in the past looked for somebody with that experience. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I hope that helps.
Yeah, and I think one thing to add too is even more so from like the technical aspects of the job, throughout our conversations with the hiring team and the manager, we also get a feel for the company culture, right? And we understand what they're looking for just from like a person to person, like relationship personality. So like, again, if the perfect fit, right, maybe hits one or two of these skills, but they tell us like, we really want a good person, right? Somebody that's driven, somebody that's really hardworking. That again, to like the cover letter piece, that's where we're able to really speak on your behalf. Throughout the entire process, they've been extremely proactive, extremely communicative. They're very attentive, really strong, with reaching out, like their personality really shines. Like, we're here to help with that too. So don't, just to answer your question, like more directly, Liz, like if you don't feel like you're the perfect candidate, that doesn't mean that you can't fit there. That doesn't mean don't apply, still try your best and utilize the recruiting partners that you have to really go to bat for you and really push to make it, show the value that you would bring to the position. And then Janet, I saw your question too. You can ask however many direct questions you have. We are here for it.
Okay, good. Maybe I can ask one that's maybe more general. It's like, I can understand why a recruiter would want to work with Kayla because she has specific skills and she knows exactly what she's looking for. I'm getting closer to knowing what I'm looking for, but for instance, I might be able to do your job, and I'm not saying, but because my communication skills are good. But why would a recruiter want to work with me? And I mean, don't people usually have to pay to I mean, maybe that's a headhunter and not a recruiter. I don't know.
That's a great question. And I'm glad you brought that up. So that is sometimes a thought people have, right? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you helping me? Right? Like, what are you gaining from this? Working with a recruiter, at least for our company, it's a free service to you, right? And at the end of the day, even like for yourself, Janet, like, I don't want you to sell yourself short. If you're struggling with figuring out what you want to do, we're here to help talk through that and maybe present different types of ideas or different types of opportunities that maybe one might be recruiting. Maybe one might be in admissions. Maybe one might be more of like administrative assistant, but different types of ideas so that we can go through different options. Maybe there's pieces of each that you like, and then really tailor, not to use the tailor for success, but we're going to use it here. Tailor, the search to those opportunities. But we're here, not even if you don't know, right? And you're just like, I know I want a job. I know this is what I'm good at. We're here to help talk through that and really narrow down what the different options look like, right? Because at the end of the day, not everybody's going to fit the XYZ positions that we have, but there's so many other opportunities that, we're here to really help guide and be a resource to figure out at the end of the day, Janet, this is what I want to do, right? That sounds perfect. How do we do it, right? So we're here to even just, the biggest thing for us is building that relationship, working with individuals that you're like yourself that are extremely driven and know that you want to get into the workforce, right? You know you want to do this, you can do it. And we're here to help figure out what that perfect position would look like.
Okay, thank you.
And I would also add, don't discount different industries. That's why I like to have people, from different industries talk, because you may not think you have any interest at all in life science, but as you get to talk to the ladies here, you can find out that, yeah, maybe this will be something I can explore. So don't, discount different industries, and that's where a recruiter can also help you. So definitely take advantage of the people that we have here today. I mean, they have been kind enough to give their emails. So I always like to say, you know, you need to be a little proactive and just reach out, and people wouldn't give their emails if they didn't want to talk to you. So take advantage of it. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I do want to wrap up and remind people that there are 2 more sessions. You can find out information on the Tailored for Success website. But also remember that if you sign up and attend all 3 workshops, you are eligible for a $100 Amazon gift certificate. And with the holidays coming up, it's going to be come in really, really handy. And so the next workshop is on September 21st. I am available by email if you have any questions after we get off the recording that you might have forgotten to ask, that I can pass along to our recruiters or answer myself. But I want to thank you, and certainly thank Lindsee, Ellie, and Natalie for being here and sharing your expertise with us. This was a fantastic workshop, and I can't wait to the other 2 sessions. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much again for having us. This is why we love our jobs. Honestly, yeah. We love talking to people like you. We love just helping where we can. So please reach out, like Liz said, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing, hopefully, you all back next week.
Great. All right, great. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.